Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kai, and welcome back to Warframe. Today, we will be taking a look at Mesa. Mesa is one of my favorite frames, and today I will be going over a couple builds to show you just how strong she can be, and that even Mesa can contend in the steel path with the right build. So let's hop into the sim and get right into it. Alright, now that we are here in the sim, let us go over Mesa's abilities real quick before we take a peek at the builds. So, as you'll see right here, I have subsumed off Mesa's first ability. It's really not that good. Ballistic Battery is just, its augment does give it some nice usage, but it is a little bit niche. So I have subsumed it off for Pillage. Pillage is absolutely phenomenal on Mesa. Mesa needs to build duration and strength, and negative range isn't an issue. What does Pillage want? Duration and strength. So Pillage is absolutely phenomenal on Mesa because that is where Mesa starts to struggle as you get a little bit higher into the enemy levels, especially in the steel path with Peacemakers. Pillage negates all of that. So, next ability, Shooting Gallery. This ability is pretty good. It gives your allies a damage bonus that shifts between your team members. Also gives you a damage bonus. That damage bonus, you can see, scales off strength. And this ability also scales off duration. Now the radius that you jam the enemy weapons in does scale off range, and that, going really low with the range on this does kind of neuter this ability a little bit. But trust me, if everything is dead from your Peacemakers, then there's not much that you really need from Shooting Gallery. But it is nice to have. Third ability, Shatter Shield. This ability is ridiculous. You get a barrier of energy that reflects back incoming bullet damage. Now, notice how it says bullet damage. This ability only gives you damage reduction for bullets. AoE and melee will do full damage. So, if you've lost your shields and an enemy comes up and melees you, or you get hit by like a Napalm's AoE, you'll die. Now, the bad thing about that is that, sometimes that happens. But that's only if you've lost your shields. What does Pillage do? Give us maximum shields in a single cast. Alright? Peacemakers. Mesa's absolutely ridiculous fourth ability. You pull out your pistols, you go all gunslinger, and then anything in your, line of sight inside your cone, FOV, field of view, just kind of dies. You aimbot them. You shoot ridiculously fast. Your pistols have a 300 crit multiplier. You do more damage as you continue to shoot. The damage multiplier scales off strength. You can mod the regulators themselves. This ability slaps. And paired with Pillage, with at least 200% strength, takes only 2 casts to fully armor strip. This absolutely decimates. So now that we've seen Mesa's abilities, let us go look at the build. Alright, now, here we are. As you can see, very high strength, very high duration, moderate efficiency, and low range. My duration can go up a little bit more if I maxed out my narrow-minded, but I haven't. You'll get 99 ability duration and minus 65 ability range. That minus 5 does not make a big difference, trust me. Now, as you can see, this is not a very heavy investment build. I put 2 forma into this. The 2 forma I put into this was a V, and what is this one? A Xeneric for Mesa's Vaults. So, you don't need a lot of investment for this. Like, I'm running two Umbra mods, and if I wanted to max out my Umbral Vitality, I would just, put a forma in here, get this dash, if you don't want to use an Umbral. I could Umbral forma for this, but I don't want to because I don't need to. That would give me another 3 space, and then boom, 16 and 16 would be enough. So let's look at the build itself though. First, in our aura, growing power. Now, Pillage at 200% strength does 50% shield armor strip. So really, if you're going to need to double cast, there's no reason to go above 200, except the fact that Shooting Gallery and Peacemakers scale off strength pretty well. So, growing power gives us that extra 25%, and that brings us to 259 strength in total, which is pretty damn good. So that's what we need all the strength for. Duration. Duration is great because we're not running max efficiency. See, Pillage works in a bit of an odd way. It works like Molecular Prime from Nova, where it shoots out, you know, a radius, but it benefits a lot more from duration than range, because range scales how big your initial radius is. Duration scales how far it travels in like the amount of time that it has. So this and Molecular Prime from Nova scale a lot better, like in terms of range, by modding for duration. So Pillage, you can literally have zero range, but if you have max duration, you know, it'll go really damn far. You'll see that this can cover entire tile sets. If I were to, you know, do I even have any other duration mods? Constitution. If I threw Constitution in here, maxed out narrow-minded, like, and, you know, use like a maxed out efficiency, it covers entire tile sets. It already does. But anyways, efficiency at that 130, just a base streamline, just so that we can cast, you know, Pillage a little bit more, even though I don't think it's really that big of a deal having only 130. Range at 40%. This doesn't affect our abilities in a meaningful way, because you can recast Peacemaker if you want to, but you don't really need to do that because of the augment Mesa's Waltz. Mesa can move at 50% speed while using Peacemaker. This augment does a hell of a lot more than that. Whenever you roll, yes, you could roll or backflip, your FOV gets wider. So you could kind of never leave Peacemakers if you didn't want to. Can't bullet jump or anything, but you can roll. And there's no draw animation for your pistols. You press your 4 button, and you can instantly start shooting. Don't mind me, I'm a little sick today, a little stuffy. Sorry about that. But so that is the build. Now here is probably the most important thing. Arcade velocity. On a critical hit, 90% chance for 120% fire rate to your pistols. If you could get Eddie Arcade for Mesa, get velocity. Avenger is good, but velocity is the Mesa Arcade. Alright, now I know that there are other pistol arcanes, like Pistolier, which doesn't do anything, because Regulators doesn't have ammo. Velocity is this one, and that doesn't do anything. No, I think it might actually be under the secondary. Yes, here it is. This doesn't work, because Mesa's Regulators cannot headshot. Now, if you wanted to use another weapon to proc Arcane Precision, it could work, but this is just base damage. And while this is useful, Arcane Velocity is better. Just trust me. Now here I have Avenger for extra crit chance, because I don't have Energize. If you have Energize, use Energize. It is very, very comfy and not necessary, but it is very, very good on this build. On pretty much every build. There is not a frame you can put Energize on besides the frames that don't use energy that this won't benefit them. Our Energize is absolutely ridiculous, and I'm hoping that Plague Star, or whatever, I think it's Scarlet Spear and Orphix come back so I can farm this one out, because I really, really want it. Alright, now let's take a peek at the Regulators. So, this build is pretty simple, but you'll see here that we don't have Hornet Strike. You can't equip Arcanes on the Regulators. Imagine if you could, how ridiculous that would be. But you'll see that we don't have it here, because honestly, even with a maxed out Hornet Strike, Velocity does so much for the Regulators that you don't need it. Which means that even without my maxed out Galvanize mods, like, these aren't maxed. I could get this to rank 9 right now. I have enough. I didn't. But with these maxed out, this will be even better. But taking a peek at it now, we have Frostbite and Pathogen rounds just for that easy viral. I would suggest using a cold mod, except as it turns out for me, I don't have Deep Freeze or whatever it is for pistols. I don't know how. Never had it. But the polarity for the cold 90 mods is also a Vazarin, which is annoying as hell. So just use Frostbite and then base pathogen rounds. You don't really need status chance on the regulators because you're shooting so many bullets that you'll get status on your enemies. Creeping Bullseye, crit chance, -20 fire rate is not great. If you have primed target or primed pistol gambit, use that over Bullseye. But Creeping Bullseye is better than normal pistol gambit, even with a minus fire rate. Lethal Torrent, more fire rate and multi-shot. There is literally nothing to dislike about this mod. Multi-shot and fire rate. It's better than Gunslinger because 72% compared to 60 is not that big of a difference, but the multi-shot is huge. Anemic Agility you could use. I don't recommend it because the fire rate is really not that necessary. We're already getting to the point where it's too much, as in you don't need it, but you could use it if you don't have things like Arcane Velocity. Target Cracker. Use the primed if you have this. That goes for any of these mods. This will just increase your crit damage, which everybody wants. I just don't have prime target. Galvanized Shot. Why are we using this? One, because we're using Viral Heat. Heated Charge. Use primed Heated Charge if you have that. Any of these mods, if they're primed, use them. But so we get status from these. We could proc all of these, but let's just say we're procking Impact, Heat, Viral. That's 3. With this maxed out, that is a hell of a lot more damage. And then also, using the Sato. This weapon is great on Mesa because it spreads a hell of a lot of status. I don't know where. Yes, there we go. It's like 7 status effects in a single shot of its alt fire. Pick up this gun if you haven't. It's ridiculous. Which means that we can buff the damage of our regulators by a hell of a lot. So now that we've seen this, let me show you it on some corrupted heavy gunners. Getting some 115s in here. And I do also have an Adarza Kavat for extra crit chance. Alright, so, let's go up here. If we were to not use Pillage for the armor strip, let's just cast this. And Shooting Gallery. Now, it's not bad. It's actually pretty damn good. It kills really, really damn quick. I know these aren't max Steel Path level enemies, but it's still obliterating. I mean, you gotta remember, not every enemy you fight is a corrupted heavy dude. A lot of them will die in literally a couple bullets. But, if we come back, spawn them again, let's go over here and use... Actually, let me demonstrate how far of a range Pillage has. From here, if I cast again, no armor on anybody. That was quick, wasn't it? That wasn't even with many stacks on our galvanized mods. But if we Shooting Gallery, Shadow Shield, let's pop Pillage, and then let us get the shields from it. Boom. If we Pillage again, and now let's cast the Sato. I mean, we don't even need the status procs for galvanized, whatever the hell the pistol mod is called. But why not? And you can, you can cast Pillage and then go into this, and then it'll still do its thing. Cast again when you come out, go back into Peacemakers, and boom. This build is absolutely ridiculous. Let's go and demonstrate one more time. Summon them in. I'm gonna shoot the Sato. Pillage. I'll just wait. Just so it'll be funny. Boom. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, some slight adjustments to this build. I have 2 Talforce energy shards in here. That means that I don't need to run Archon or Primed Flow. If you do, drop Augur Message, because here's the thing. Pillage has such a ridiculous range, even at base. See, I'm going to remove all of my duration mods right now. I'm negative duration, okay? This is negative duration. Look at that radius. I mean, you could run negative duration if you just want that, you know, that quick cast. So you could armor ship a little bit faster. Problem with running negative duration is that, you know, you need to recast your other abilities a hell of a lot more now because they don't last very long. So a happy medium could be found with the duration mods, where if you run prime continuity and narrow-minded, all right, 218, or that's a long time. Maybe we could possibly drop primed, run augur message 187. Okay, 3.73 seconds. That's pretty good. Leaves open a V polarity. In that V polarity, there are some things you can put in there. All right, you can make some adjustments if you don't want to have absolute maximum duration. I like it because it allows these abilities to not need to be cast a lot, and they're pretty expensive. So that's what I suggest to you. But again, remember that there are so many like changes and nuances to these builds. You don't need to run exactly what you see in this video. In fact, I invite you, go out and try this. If you like it, make a better one, and then tell me in the comments how fucking awful this build is. Please. I want to encourage you guys to go out and experiment for your own, because it's a lot more fun creating these builds by yourself than looking at a guide. But I am happy you're here, so please stay, don't leave. Now I'm going to get into the steel path and show you guys some gameplay of just how busted this build can be. Alright, so, you know, the general gameplay loop is kind of just, let's cast our two abilities, pop the Pillage, and then... And now we get max overshield, and, you know, Mesa, like, just kind of obliterates anyone. Pillage. One thing I forgot to add was that you don't need Rolling Guard on this build, because Pillage removes all status effects from you and your allies. So it's not necessary. Now, as you'll see in the energy department, we're a little lacking. That's because, you know, I don't have Energize, okay? And that makes it difficult because sometimes if you get unlucky with the energy drops, you just won't have any energy. So again, if you have Energize, like, use it. It's very, very useful.
Prepare for life support.
This is a bit of like a casting build you're going to want. But see, you know what? I'm killing some enemies, I'm getting a lot of duration, recast Shadow Shield. Absolutely disgusting. Pillage. They don't even got much armor now, so like, you know, they kind of just die like some bitches. The thing about Pillage is that it's so good that you don't, like, you can use just Pillage and you won't die, and enemies will lose all their armor. And then, you know, if you pair it with a ridiculous ability like Peacemakers, where you can just hurt everyone like an A10. Like, that guy... Whew, absolutely ridiculous, yo. And then, you know, because I don't have Umbral and I don't have Arcane Energize, having that Umbral Vitality is useful because it means that I won't die instantly if I run out of energy. But just know that if you have Energize, it makes this build a whole lot better. As you can see, I just died. So, Energize is pretty needed, but you can make do without it. You just need to be a little careful.